Hey, guess what the sun does when it comes through a magnifying glass and hits plastic? It melts it! Hey everybody, welcome back to Trey's Models. Today we're going to be doing the Dragon 148 scale Ju-88 A6 balloon cutter, released about 2007. Now this aircraft was based in France with KG-30 somewhere around 1940 through 1941. As per usual with aircraft builds, you start out in the office and the interior is going to get a coat of RLM 66 and then we come back and pick out the details with some Model Master paints. And onto the seats, we got the seat belts installed. You'll notice the pilot seat got a little armor protection there. Everybody else kind of got to fend for themselves. Now the office is coming together, everything's looking good, got a little wash going on. And next up will be the instrument panel. Okay, the instrument panels are in, and by now you probably noticed that there's two Ju-88 builds going on, because if you've watched my channel for any length of time, you can see I like to torture myself by doing two of everything that I do here. So there's two Ju-88 builds going on, the balloon cutter version and the G6 that I did for the last shoot down build. We'll put a link down below if you want to check that video out later. We're on to the fuselage and the wings. One of the things that you have to deviate, well, you don't have to, but one of the things I would suggest you deviate from, the kit instructions have you gluing the wingtips together and then gluing them on the wings. If you do this, you can have a real bad step to deal with. What I would suggest is you glue the tips onto the actual wing panels, then glue the wings together, and you won't have that big step to deal with. You'll still have to rescribe some of the panel lines to clean up, but it's a whole lot better than dealing with that big step if you do it the way the instructions ask you to do it. On to the power plants. Now the kit as it comes is an A4, and that came with the Jumo 211J. Now the A6 had the older 211G-1, so you're going to have to backdate the engine nacelles to make it correct. Now you could roll with the JU 211J. I mean, rivet counters are going to know, but I wanted to make this as accurate as I possibly could. So in the pictures you can see the modifications that you have to do. Basically, the big bulge at the bottom on the 211J has to go. You got to smooth that out. And at the very front, the big difference in the radiator is for the 211J, there's 3 openings. For the G, there's only 2. So, fortunately, I had enough parts in the stash from building other Ju-88 kits that I was able to retrofit it. The surgery on the engine nacelles is a little bit more involved, but with a little patience you can pull it off. The rest of the basic wing structure and the landing gear, pretty straightforward build. You need a little bit of filler there where the nacelle bases come into the fairing part, right where the gear comes in, but it's not too painful. And the basic fuselage, pretty straightforward. You do have to come back and rescribe the panel lines across the seams where the fuselage joins up, but again, that's with any kit. You're going to have to deal with that. It's not a big deal. And getting the canopy sorted out, fits really good here with this kit. No issues here. Fitting the wings and the tail feathers, there's a little bit of a gap. The wing root to the fuselage fit does need a little bit of filler. Not a whole lot. Not a big issue. Okay, for the conversion to the A6, you're going to need to use the thin cord VDM propellers. Now the VS11s were actually for the A4 and the G6, once you see pictured here. but I had to source the BDMs from another aftermarket company. Unfortunately, I didn't get pictures of it, but basically it's just a thinner looking blade, less cord to it. Well, guess what happens if your shop has a window in it where the sun can come through, and you have a magnifying glass that you use because your old eyes can't see real good, lets the sun come in and beat on your plastic model. Yeah, it works like a laser and cuts a big groove through your model. Took me forever to figure out what was going on with this. I came back from work ready to start on my kit and saw this big melted gouge in the tail of my JU-88, and scratching my head trying to figure out what I spilled on it, what happened to it. I finally figured out that, lo and behold, the sun had come through, hit the magnifying glass just right, and melted a hole through it. Not the end of the world, was able to fix it, just cost me some time. Okay, the photo etch fender on this kit is a little bit difficult to work with, getting it right. I messed up a little bit. It's not exactly in the right angle that it should be, but to try to fix it would have caused more damage than it was worth fixing, so rolling with it. Got a standard RLM 74/75 camo going on top, and then onto the weathering. Okay, most of us that have watched World War II films have seen the barrage balloons, and everybody just figured that they were just big gas bags with a cable attached to the ground to keep stuff from flying through them. And in some cases, that's what they actually were, and a lot of aircraft were lost just to that. But some of them packed a nice little surprise with these little drag chutes that would come out when the aircraft would fly through it and create so much drag that it would eventually just cause the aircraft to fall out of the sky. Well, the JU-88 with this fender was supposed to keep this at least from dragging the aircraft out of the sky, but unfortunately the fender itself weighed 838 pounds, which required 132 pounds of ballast to be added to the back of the aircraft to get the CG correct. Now, you can figure that 970 pounds added to an airframe is going to do exactly what you think it's going to do. It's going to cause it to be a big lumbering target. So it didn't last long. Most of these aircraft were refitted back to bomber configuration. Some of them were fitted with the FUG 200 radar and used for maritime anti-shipping roles.